This is New Time on Silkway TV channel. We introduce you with the most visible news and important events that happened throughout this week in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. More details on politics, economy, social and cultural life with opinions from the most recognizable experts of Kazakhstan and world. I'm Daurian Sagulov and this is what you'll see today. To become an economic hub for Malaysia, Astana and Kuala Lumpur set new ambitious goals for bilateral cooperation. What is the future of decarbonized world? New Time explored the possibility of implementing nuclear power technology in Kazakhstan. Strong start. Kazakhstan is performing well in terms of economic growth. Will it remain to be so until the end of the year? Kazakhstan and Malaysia are embarking on a new phase of collaboration, sparked by the official visit of Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim to Kazakhstan this week. President Kasim-Jomart Tokayev addressed this development during a meeting in Akorda, highlighting Malaysia's significance as one of Kazakhstan's important and reliable partners in Southeast Asia. Over 30 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries, a solid foundation has been formed for mutually beneficial cooperation, which is becoming increasingly important given modern geopolitical agenda. Discussions between the leaders centered on expanding cooperation in all areas.
I think that the future of our cooperation is very much bright, and I support your intention to get engaged in business forum. We will be very much active in promoting B2B contacts, which are of a crucial importance for our relations. We look forward to having more successful projects with the participation of Malaysian companies. As far as our government is concerned, we are ready to provide some preferences. Besides, citizens and businessmen of both states enjoy mutual 30-day visa-free entrance and convenient direct flights.
Anwar Ibrahim, in response, emphasized Malaysia's commitment to enhancing trade and economic ties with Kazakhstan. Both nations possess considerable potential in this regard, which they have already begun to capitalize on. For instance, in 2023, Kazakhstan emerged as Malaysia's primary trading partner in Central Asia, with bilateral trade increasing by 64% within the year. Kazakhstan exports crude oil, ferrous metal products, geodetic instruments and transformers to Malaysia, while Malaysia supplies palm oil, household appliances and telecommunication devices to Kazakhstan.
We have come with some specific proposals, and I think there will be bilateral meetings with the ministers on various issues on imports or exports. We have now been accepted as a hub for computer chips in the region, with huge investments from United States, Europe, particularly Germany, and China, of course, and I think we can share that and at the same time learn from your experience in this transformation, which you have done remarkably well.
President of Kazakhstan has set a goal to increase trade turnover with China to $100 billion from the last year's $40 billion. The head of state announced this during a meeting with Vice Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China, Li Guojun, who arrived in Kazakhstan on an official visit. President Tokayev noted that the goal of increasing trade turnover by 2.5 times is achievable without specifying a deadline for its implementation.
I am very pleased to note that the comprehensive strategic partnership and eternal friendship between Kazakhstan and China continue to develop along an upward trajectory and are aimed at the future. China is Kazakhstan's leading trade and economic partner, ranking first in terms of bilateral trade volume.
According to the head of state, elevating bilateral relations with China to a new level is an important priority for the country. Liu Guojun also noted the positive dynamics in the cooperation between the two countries.
As a long-standing and good friend to the Chinese people, you have made significant contributions to the development of China-Kazakhstan relations. which is highly appreciated by the Chinese side. China and Kazakhstan are good neighbors, reliable partners, and very good friends who complement each other.
President Tokayev hosted the secretaries of the Security Councils of the Central Asian countries – Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. Notably, the meeting in this format was held for the first time. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev emphasized its significance as a crucial step in preparing for the 6th consultative meeting of the heads of Central Asian states, scheduled for August 9 in Astana. As the current chairman of the organization, Kazakhstan has developed a strategy for regional cooperation titled Central Asia 2040, aimed at bolstering five-way collaboration. Now the region is experiencing strong economic growth, with interregional trade surging by over 80% in the past 5 years, surpassing $10 billion. However, President Tokayev stressed the need for stability to further development, highlighting the necessity for collective action to address challenges. The first meeting of the region's Security Council secretaries is designed to become such an effective platform.
На наш взгляд, одной из стратегических задач на современном этапе.
First and foremost, we are talking about combating international extremism and terrorism, as well as drug and arms trafficking. In this regard, Afghanistan should be the focus of our common attention. In our view, one of the current strategic tasks is the active involvement of Afghanistan and regional ties. Much depends on the coordinating position of our countries. We consider it important to establish the UN Regional Center for SDGs for Central Asia and Afghanistan in our country.
Kassym-Jomart Tokayev underscored the extensive cooperation among the republics across all sectors and domains, expanding beyond regional boundaries. Notably, global stakeholders have shown interest in active collaboration through the Central Asia Plus format. This is evident from the outcomes of the meeting conducted last year with the European Union, China, the United States, Germany and Arab countries.
I would like to assure you that we firmly reject such approaches and attempts. Overall, there are no issues among our countries that we cannot find mutually acceptable solutions to. I am convinced that only the synergy of collective actions and mutual support can pave the way for the prosperity of our fraternal peoples.
Kazakhstan will receive 922 million cubic meters of water from Uzbekistan through the Dostik Canal during the irrigation period, the Kazakh Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation reported. The countries reached this agreement during a meeting of the Interstate Coordinating Commission for Water Management. More details on this and other news topics from Central Asia are in the review of my colleague, political observer Ozhet Shigerbayev. Ozhet, the floor is yours.
Thank you for giving me the floor. I'll be ready to share my top 3 Central Asian news in a moment. The Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation of Kazakhstan has reached an arrangement with Uzbekistan about the supply of 922 million cubic meters of water to the southern regions of Kazakhstan. The water will be delivered by the Dostik Interstate Canal during the 2024 irrigation season. These arrangements were reached during the 86th meeting of the Interstate Coordination Commission for Water Management combining Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan, attended by Kazakhstani Water Resources Minister, Minister Nurjan Urjagitov. Participants of the meeting have also approved a projected schedule for the Narin-Sirdarya cascade of reservoirs until September 30 of this year. Moreover, the officials also discussed a set of issues related to the International Fund for Saving of the Aral Sea, where Kazakhstan holds the presidency this year. Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan have been trying to improve their transborder water management for a while. For instance, they agreed to install special devices to calculate the volume of transborder water on each side of the border and to share their data on the water consumption. Previously, they used approximate data. From May 5th to May 11th in Buston city of Sakh region of the Tajikistan, the latest meeting of the topographic working groups and legal working groups of the governmental delegations of the Kyrgyz Republic and the Republic of Tajikistan on the delimitation and demarcation of the Kyrgyz-Tajik state border was held. According to the press service of the government of the Kyrgyzstan, during this meeting, the parties exchanged proposals on the description of the Kyrgyz-Tajik state border line along the remaining sections and decided to continue this work at the next meeting, which will be held on the territory of the Kyrgyz Republic. The meeting was reported to have taken place in an atmosphere of friendship and mutual understanding. It should be noted that Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan share a border about 970 kilometers. Over the past few months, the parties have been actively negotiating the joint state border, taking turns on each other's territories. Since October till now, governments of the two countries have already agreed on more than 240 kilometers of the state border between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. Minister of Transport of Kazakhstan, Mr. Marat Karabayev, held a working meeting with his counterpart from Uzbekistan, Mr. Ilhom Akhmatov. As a result of the meeting, the parties signed a roadmap for the development of strategic cooperation in the field of transport and logistics between the two countries for the period of 2024-2025. During the meeting, they discussed the main directions of cooperation, opportunities for its further activation, and the implementation of joint projects in the areas of development of international transit corridors, rail and road transport, and construction of transport infrastructure. Currently, the parties are working on the implementation of the construction of the new Darbaza-Maktaral railway line project, which will increase the throughput capacity between the two countries by an additional 10 million tons. That's all for my part for today. Thank you. Giving the floor back to you.
Many thanks. Political observer Ozhet Shagirbayev introduced us with his top 3 important news stories from Central Asia this week. And let's move on. Germany invested a record $770 million in Kazakhstan in the past year, marking a 64% increase, announced President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev during a meeting with the chairwoman of the German Eastern Business Association, Katrina Klaus-Mühlhäuser. The president emphasized that Germany is a strategic partner of Kazakhstan in the EU, and relations between the two countries are showing positive dynamics, with growing interest from German businesses in Kazakhstan's economy. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev reminded about his proposal to establish a regional center for sustainable agriculture. The head of state also praised the contribution of the class assembly plan to the development of Kazakhstan's agricultural potential. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and the International Monetary Fund forecast steady global economic growth in 2024-2025. According to the published reports, global growth forecasts for 2024 have been upgraded to 3.2%. This growth will also be reflected in Kazakhstan's economy. Notably, the IMF predicts a significant leap in Kazakh economy in 2025. More details are provided in the following report. Over the past 4 years, the global financial system has faced numerous geopolitical and economic shocks. As noted in the IMF report, developing countries are still in the process of recovering from the pandemic. According to economist Janibek Aygazin, while the economic development outlook is balanced, growth rates are the lowest in decades.
According to IMF forecast, they considered that in 2024-2025 global economic growth will be 3.2%. But in World Economic Outlook, recent review from World Economic Outlook, they written that this is growth rate. It's low peak for decades. It means that global economy in the stage of moderate recovering after these big shocks.
Regarding Kazakhstan, IMF experts anticipate economic growth in 2024 to reach 3.1%. It is known that Kazakhstan's economy heavily depends on oil and mineral exports. The IMF reports that in 2025, growth could jump to 5.6% due to the expansion of the Tengiz oil field, where oil reserves amount to 3.2 billion tons.
According to government forecast for this economy, they have more positive rate. They expected on this year it's about 5%. You know, even president declared from this year we must to reach twice of GDP till 2029.
The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development also gives a positive forecast. EBRD experts expect economic growth to reach 4.5% by the end of this year. The report indicates that severe floods in Kazakhstan will negatively impact economic growth only in the short term. Meanwhile, in 2025, GDP growth rates are expected to accelerate to 5.5% due to increased oil production, agriculture and potential privatization. This also includes economic liberalization. A relevant decree was signed by President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, on May 10, 2024.
Now it's another stage of our development of our economy. Of course, government policymakers, they understood that not enough resources of government, of state, to produce economic growth.
The document on liberalization is aimed at ensuring the freedom of entrepreneurship by the fostering competition and reducing state involvement in the economy. Experts note that the new decree contains a revolutionary opportunity that allows private entrepreneurs to privatize assets. This measure can make Kazakhstan's economy more resilient to external shocks, ensuring sustainable and moderate economic growth. Daurian Sagulov, New Time. Kazakhstan's Institute of Nuclear Physics, located in Almaty, will now supply radiopharmaceuticals to the Shymkent City Cancer Center via air transport. Previously, these supplies were delivered by car. According to the Institute's press service, Shymkent Airport will ensure the smooth and lawful passage of radiopharmaceuticals. New Time team visited the Institute of Nuclear Physics and observed a nuclear reactor in operation. This reactor serves as a prototype for a potential future nuclear power plant in Kazakhstan, contingent on public approval. More details about Institute's activities in Balzhan Samigulina's reports from Almaty.
The Institute of Nuclear Physics is located in the village of Alatau, 20 kilometers from Almaty. Established in 1957, the institute originally had a strictly physical focus. As it developed, its structure evolved. Sectors were replaced by departments, new centers and laboratories were opened, while existing ones were transformed. Furthermore, in 1968, at the institute was launched a nuclear reactor. This is a reactor which is operated by the Institute of Nuclear Physics and will serve as a prototype for the future nuclear power plant in Kazakhstan if the population will support it in the upcoming referendum.
Research work on this reactor began in 1998. This reactor is a prototype of water power reactor. The maintenance stages and all operational phases are exactly similar to those of the power reactor currently being discussed by the public. However, they differ in power output. This reactor has a capacity of 6 megawatts, whereas the discussed power reactors has a capacity of 1200 megawatts.
Many people believe that nuclear reactors are only used to generate electrical energy. However, this is not the case. The WWRK reactor is a prototype and not designed to function as a full-scale nuclear power plant. The reactor currently operates exclusively for peaceful purposes. It now produces industrial and medical radioisotopes. These isotopes are used to manufacture essential radiopharmaceuticals for diagnosing and treating cancer.
The reactor is used for a multitude of research projects. Currently, around 80 people are involved in its operation. As a research reactor, it does not generate any energy for the public. It is solely intended for research purposes. This is the only stationary reactor in the country, operating on a 21-day cycle, after which it is shut down for 7 days.
The Institute's personnel continuously monitor radiation levels and confirm that the radiation background within the reactor's vicinity is actually cleaner than the out of the city. This is the special machine which allows visitors and workers to check the body whether it was reacted or not. It takes just 5 seconds to check the body. Now we will see results. It says that the body was not contaminated. Additionally, the Institute of Nuclear Physics hosts a storage facility for spent ionizing radiation sources. This facility ensures the safe disposal of ample sources of ionizing radiation from medical and industrial sectors once they are no longer in use.
We are in a storage facility designed for the disposal of spent sources of ionizing radiation. Constructed as part of a Kazakhstan-American partnership, It was commissioned in 2022 specifically for storing spent sources. The facility complies with all international requirements of the International Atomic Energy Agency.
The total workforce for the nuclear power plant is estimated at around 2,000 individuals, with 400 specialists dedicated to the nuclear industry. Utilizing the identical control elements of a research reactor to those of an industrial nuclear reactor, the Institute of Nuclear Physics will offer practical training for nuclear engineers using its existing WWRK research nuclear hydrogen reactor. Baljan Samigulna, Nauruz Bazarov, Ilyas Tulkabay, Silkvi TV channel, Almaty.
The construction of a nuclear power plant is a contentious topic in Kazakhstan. Recent polls showed that 46.6% of those who took part in a survey supported the construction of NPP in Kazakhstan. However, the considerable part of society still holds concerns over the future of nuclear projects in country. Baljan Samigulna weighed off all pros and cons.
Kazakhstan is currently considering the possibility of building the first nuclear power plant in the country. According to the plan of Kazakhstan nuclear power plants responsible for it, the estimated cost of building the nuclear power plants totals to $15 billion, with plant commissioning by 2035. As partners, the country has selected 4 companies for the shortlist: Korean QHNP, Russian Rosatom, Chinese CNNC, and French EPR.
The chosen vendors offer the last generation of nuclear power plants. It is third generations of NPPs. All these countries are operating nuclear power plants for decades. According to the project for the water-cooled reactors that Kazakhstan is considering, a 3-loop cooling system is envisaged, which is available for last model of reactors.
Most of the nuclear reactors operating in the world today are what are known as light water reactors. The most widely used fuel for such reactors is uranium, a common metal mined from rocks all over the world. Here, Kazakhstan, Canada, and Namibia are among the biggest suppliers. However, for some, nuclear power may still conjure images of mushroom clouds or bring back memories of disturbing nuclear disasters like Chernobyl, Fukushima, and 3 Mile Island. Looking at the world, there hasn't been much construction of nuclear power recently because of the change in perception after the accidents. In the wake of them, the Western governments made a determination to shut down all of their nuclear energy and import natural gas from other countries, as well as in the 90s, the regulation of the energy market in the world left nuclear power competing with all other kinds of energy on an open market.
Альтернативных вариантов очень много.
There are plenty of alternative options available. Building a nuclear power plant is a premature decision. I believe we need to work on and consider how to harness solar and wind energy instead. It would be better to focus in that direction. Apart from the environmental pollution that building a nuclear power plant would cause, there is also a significant risk due to our lack of experience with nuclear power plants. The recent disasters at Chernobyl and Fukushima demonstrate that humanity hasn't yet reached a level of mastery over nuclear energy.
The reasons why nuclear power plants are shut down are often complicated and typically come down to political and economic factors. The primary opposition revolves around concerns regarding radiation safety, environmental impacts, and the potential consequences of accidents.
We need to ensure that nuclear power plant technology is designed to prevent environmental consequences. The most important aspect is the selection of technologies. If it's possible to avoid using water, it's better not to use it. If there is an option for nuclear waste recycling, it should be pursued. These mechanisms need to be solved out and made known to the public.
Another common argument against nuclear power plants is that we already have other renewables to help us decarbonize, as well as other ways such as waste-to-energy technology used in some European countries. The method, as eco-activist Salim Shagalimov says, is based on the use of modern combustion and biological technologies to recover energy from urban waste.
130 тысяч
A significant amount of waste can be recycled and used to generate both heat and electricity. In Vienna, there is a waste-to-energy plant located in the city center surrounded by cafes and universities. The plant provides heating for 130,000 people and generates electricity. All the waste collected in the city is processed with glass and plastic extracted for recycling. After processing, the remaining waste is incinerated to produce electricity.
However, energy experts note, despite public fear around nuclear power, the technology has proven to be an emission-free, reliable way to produce large amounts of electricity on 24/7 basis on a small footprint. As a result, sentiments about the technology are beginning to change. Kazakhs seem to be changing their views too. A recent poll conducted by International Center of Journalism, MediaNet, found that 46% of voters are in support of building new nuclear power plants, compared to 37% who oppose such a measure. The main argument to favor revolves around addressing the electricity deficit, reducing coal usage, and existing successful experience of other countries.
We, as specialists in this field, are ahead in terms of acquiring new information about nuclear safety compared to our population. Nuclear safety technology has significantly advanced. We plan to build a third-generation nuclear power plant. Third-generation nuclear power plants have significantly higher safety standards compared to second-generation plants like Chernobyl and Fukushima. In 3+ generation plants, safety is ensured without human intervention. This means that accidents like those that occurred previously are fundamentally eliminated because, according to the laws of physics, the plant can shut down automatically. Therefore, the safety of the nuclear power plants we intend to build is substantially higher and practically 100% safe in terms of serious accidents.
Worldwide, there are about 440 operational nuclear reactors that are responsible for supplying around 10% of the world's electricity. By 2035, the development of Kazakhstan's generation predicts an increase in the use of renewable energy sources and nuclear power plants, according to QNPP data.
Undoubtedly, we all now are convinced that by 2030, Kazakhstan will face an electricity deficit. Therefore, nuclear energy is one of the solutions to this situation. It's no secret that Kazakhstan currently relies mostly on fossil fuels, primary coal, which is predominantly mined through open-pit methods. Nuclear power plants do not emit pollutants. The problem lies in the fact that in Kazakhstan currently there is insufficient advocacy and persuasion among the population regarding this matter.
Notably, neighboring China already has 56 nuclear energy units with a total capacity exceeding 57,000 megawatts. Moreover, the country plans to build an additional 24 units in the near future. For some Chinese provinces, nuclear power plants became even a sightseeing.
Our school's curriculum includes a textbook that introduced local features. It covered the local economy and the attractions in the area, including the nuclear power plant.
In September of last year, public hearings were held in the Almaty region regarding the construction of a nuclear power plant. However, the first step towards building the country's first nuclear power plant will still depend on a national referendum. Балжан Самигульна, Рамбек Бегужаев, Кушкарбай Калиев, New Time.
Current nuclear facilities have advanced inherent safety features since accidents in Chernobyl and Fukushima, said Vice Chairman of the Board of Management at the World Nuclear Association Bohdan Zronek in an interview to New Time. According to Mr. Zronek, Kazakhstan is very close not only to producing nuclear fuel, but also to implementing nuclear power operations. What are the current trends in the global nuclear market? Watch the fragment of the interview with Mr. Zronek right now.
Mr. Zronek, thank you for having us and welcome to Kazakhstan in the context of the considering of building the first nuclear power plant in Kazakhstan. Let me ask you, what are the current trends in the global market?
If you look at current trends in the energy market, everybody is looking for sustainability and decarbonization to meet the goals of 2050. And in this regard, it's about electrification, so about the production more sustainable and CO2-free energy. So it's looking for the balanced mix of renewables, which is definitely the priority, and also nuclear power, which is pretty good complementary to renewables, especially to cover the baseload.
In this regard, what Kazakhstan can propose to the world, do you think?
If you look at beautiful country of Kazakhstan, you have plenty of natural resources, so definitely I would be looking at the opportunities at renewable sources together with nuclear power, because Kazakhstan is the leader of nuclear fuel production or uranium production, and it's very close to be followed up by nuclear industry and nuclear power operation.
Considering the accident that we had worldwide before in the US, Japan and Russia, can you say about the risks and challenges that we can face as the country if we decide to build such nuclear power plant?
Well, definitely, each technology, including renewables, is bringing some pros and cons. So if you look at the nuclear industry, it's very specific because it has very intensive ability to learn from the past, to learn from everything which is fine and goes well, and on the other hand, to share the lessons learned from the events like Chernobyl, TMI in the US, or Fukushima. If you look at the current nuclear facilities, the inherent safety is very well advanced. We took into account all of not only the technology features, but also the external events and their possibility. We are looking at the human factor, and the nuclear world, doesn't matter which country is it from, is able to cooperate, to share between each other with the priority of nuclear safety. So it's a very strong feature of this industry, and I believe we are able to operate all of nuclear facilities safely.
Let me ask the last question. If to talk about cooperation between World Nuclear Association and Kazakhstan, which projects we can expect so far between these two parties?
Regarding World Nuclear Association, it's the association of companies who are presented at the nuclear industry in the whole scale of value chain, from the very beginning, from the mining till operation and decommissioning. So companies from Kazakhstan are present. They are members of World Nuclear Association, and I have to admit that very active members, and thanks for this. I hope and believe that companies from Kazakhstan will join the world associations also as the nuclear operators in close future.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It was my pleasure to be here.
For the 22nd time, Astana is hosting an international amateur mini-football tournament, bringing together athletes from different countries. Notably, Kazakhstan's amateur national team ranks first in the world in this sport. Additionally, for the second consecutive year, the team has become Soccer Euro Cup champion. This time, in the capital of Moldova, Kazakh athletes defeated the Croatian team in the final match of the international tournament with a score of 3-0. Last year, Kazakhstan emerged victorious against Romania in the tournament final.
Indeed, participating in continental competitions is challenging. Last year, the Kazakh team Seyran emerged as the champions. It was crucial to demonstrate that this success wasn't merely luck for our country, and I believe we upheld the country's honor with dignity.
емес екенін дәлелдеу керек болды.
В этом году мы планируем...
This year we are planning to organize the first Asian Cup. However, this initiative is currently in the development stage. Our primary focus at the moment is to forge connections and foster communication with partners across Asia, totaling around 29 countries. Initially, our goal is to gather a small but meaningful number of participants to develop the soccer format in Asia. Ultimately, it will evolve into a qualifying tournament, determining slots for the World Championship.
Ghalinbek Karaturuk, a stunt performer from the Kazakh team of the Nomad Stunts International Action Company, clinched the top spot at the Atvik Varuni International Film Festival in India, featuring over 240 entries from around the world. Ghalinbek directed the film that won in the Best International Short Film category and played one of the roles, demonstrating his stunt expertise. He is now sharing his extensive experience with students at the Kazakh National University of Arts. In the near future, the actor plans to release several short and feature films. It is noteworthy that the Kazakhstan team has been recognized as one of the best in the world. For the work in the film Tomiris, Nomad Stunts was awarded the Taurus Prize, often referred to as the Oscars of the stunt work.
I took part in the International Film Festival to assess and improve my professional skills. It was a successful project for me. As for the movie, every nation has its own dim light philosophy. Our nation's philosophy is about unity with nature. This is what I wanted to convey. I am both the scriptwriter and director of this movie. The stuntman of the Nomad Stunts International Action Company, with whom I have been working for 7 years, also took part in this movie.
That's it for today. All the main news about Kazakhstan and Central Asia you can find here. More special projects about our country you can also watch on Silk Way TV channel. So stay tuned and see you next time.